Hello guys, we are back. To my left, we've got Matt. So good evening, Matt.
Hi Dan, hi everybody. How you doing?
I'm very well. Hope you're alright.
I'm not bad, thank you. I'm not bad. Yeah, still reeling from a crazy last 5 minutes of the game on the weekend.
Yeah, I
And
think we're all just about getting over it. That last 5 minutes against Stoke was quite a interesting end. Don't
it
you think?
was, yeah, absolutely. I think I don't know. I'm not sure whether I thought. I think I thought we would win. We would win the game from that position before the sending off. I think it felt to me like we sort of tried to get to grips with Stoke in the first half. Perhaps they'd had better the first half, and then there weren't too many chances, too many scares, and we were getting, we started getting back into the game. Scored a great goal. I mean, I've been really impressed with Keenan Davis. Um, but the pass from Sturridge, like watching from Sturridge as well, since he's been in the team for like a couple of subs, 2 or 3 sub appearances, has been great. And that like pass with the outside of his foot out wide to Max Lowe was sumptuous, and the cross from Max Lowe into the box was sumptuous, and yeah, fantastic team goal. Um, so I thought from then we'd go on to win the game, and perhaps had a bit of tiredness, mentally and physically after exertions against Leicester and Blackburn. But that would like kick us on. So disappointing to concede a goal from a corner, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
I think we're one of the top teams in the league for defending corners and set pieces, which so makes it more disappointing that we concede from that. But also like how far we've come, where a year, 18 months ago, we were hopeless at set pieces, weren't we? It was like, give a set piece away, give a corner away, and our central defenders didn't seem to know how to defend it. Grabban would duck under a corner, if you remember that, away at wherever that was at Birmingham. We just seem to concede regular and people not know what's happening. And like huge credit to the manager again that and the players that he's coached and the players that he's brought in to turn that around. Yeah, and also disappointing it was the player that we were after in the summer, and I think he decided to remind us of that as well, which is always really annoying. I definitely do that if I was a player. I'd definitely be reminding opposition fans of things like that all the time. I would be cupping my ears. I would be Adebayor, who would run the length of the pitch to celebrate in front of his ex fans. So I can't. It's horrible, but you can't blame. I'd be like savage, waving my scarf around in front of the Bridgeford end, and causing a fight. But yeah, I still thought we would go on and it'd be us that would get the goal. So yeah, moment of madness from Bryce, isn't it? And I think there's been a lot of opinion about that, hasn't there, on social media and in the press from fans and from ex-players as well. And like, has it been coming? Is it something that has been coming from lots of attempts to wind opposition up that got increased at the Derby game, and others where he's been walking a bit of a tightrope, and like, has it? There's the view that it's perhaps he's just pushing it more and more every game and getting away with more than it's been coming and so on. But I mean, everybody has lapses, don't they? Everybody has. My view being, everybody has a moments of madness. We all do. We all do in the workplace, don't we? Or or in a podcast where I might say something about Lyle Taylor that perhaps I don't quite mean it. I didn't mean it. It's terrible footballer. But we all say things and do things and regret it and learn from it and change it. And he's been pretty good for us this season, hasn't he? And he's kept us in games. We've won games, and and we all love it when he's getting away with it. And it's something that adds excitement about football. I wouldn't want him to get sent off, but yeah, obviously he did. But then Joe goes in goal. Like, how amazing would it have been if Joe had have saved penalty? The heads would have been exploding all around the ground, wouldn't they? It would have been like the most amazing thing. But then to get the equaliser in front of Trent and super sub Ryan Yates comes on and nods it in. But I think some of the things that I take from the game is like never say we really do fight to the end. We've not had the t-shirts printed yet about it, but we do. And the squad mentality that players that come on and are gutted to miss out but will support the team and come on and do their damnedest. That Scott McKenna wins everything in the air, and that's not the first time where he's not nodded something back and created a goal, is it? I can think of numerous off the top of my head. And sooner or later, Joe Garner's going to be banging in some free kicks because he's getting closer and closer every time. And it was very close against Leicester. I think it was against Leicester, maybe against Arsenal. And clearly, obviously, created the goal, and he's coming more and more into his own, more and more like the player we started to see last year, isn't he? In terms of his all-round play and contributions, and I think, in the end, it was a point gained, I think, wasn't it? But would be nice to, we need to get into that top six and then bed ourselves, make ourselves firm in that top six. And at the moment, we're in and out. We need to put a run together where we get in and we're solidly in the top six then, and then think about the next step.
Yeah, it's very doable. I mean, you have talked about Bryce, about that standing off, saying that a lot of opinion on it, a lot of fans having their opinion as well, a lot of ex-players. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he has kept us in games this season, without a shadow of doubt. And I've always said it since he kept us in games. I mean, it's just a shame that that sort of action got him sent off. But then I think if it would have been a Premier League game, I mean, I think VAR would have left the free kick on him because of obviously what Jag Local did. So
VAR would. If we had VAR, we'd probably have had about another 10 penalties this season with some of the refereeing and been won games a lot more comfortable. It's interesting, the VAR. I guess it might have awarded us a free kick but sent Bryce off.
Yeah.
Anyway, for violent conduct, it might have gone like that, and we'd have been scratching our heads even more about what the referee was doing on Saturday's game, because he had a bit of a stinker, didn't he? All around, some very just bizarre decisions that I think people who only watch Premier League football wouldn't believe the standard of the refereeing sometimes in the EFL. It's beggars belief sometimes, some of the decisions, and we've had them down the years from the was it Keith Stroud away at Oldham and others, but it's consistent, isn't it? And consistent, just wrong-headed decisions, not only just being conned by players consistently, but stopping play when players are off the pitch, receiving treatment, and just all sorts of weirdness. But I think on reflection, I'm in the Bryce, all teams have players that sometimes react and do something they shouldn't do, and it's we've had them before with, I remember Stan Collymore away against Millwall when we drew 2-2 in the promotion season, and facing down a fan that had run on the pitch, and having an argument with my dad about how crazy or otherwise this striker is that we've got. But it's what makes him the player. It is what makes him the player, isn't it? And we can try, and managers need to rein it in a bit sometimes and get them to learn from the mistakes. But it's players where you just don't want to get rid of it all, and it makes them not the same player. And I think some of the stuff, he's had a bit of an up and down time over the last couple of years, Bryce. He has been outperformed for a bit, but he has been really good for us. Obviously, it looks like Horvath will step in and be the replacement, but I don't know. I always rated Jordan Smith, and I think he got dealt a bit of a bad hand. He was, he came into a side that was trying to play good football, and I think he's a really good keeper. And that save that he made in the last game of the season against Ipswich, where we had to win to stay up, and like right in front of us, he saved a certain goal, tipped it over when we'd have been losing, and all the other results were going against us, and we'd have lost and we got relegated. And elsewhere is that my boy wrote to him and said, he was probably like 6 at the time, and said, it was a wonderful save, I think you're great, and my boy wanted to be a keeper at the time, and we got a really nice, really lovely letter back from Jordan. To encourage him to stick to his football, and if you want to be a keeper, stick with it, because it's not always the easiest, and you make one mistake and you get singled out and so on, but stick with it, and thanks for your support. And I think I think his confidence and performance was just undermined a bit by the rigid way that Mark Warburton tried to make him play out from the back all the time to players that weren't ready for it, and a system that wasn't ready for it. Because we do it now, and Bryce does it now, and we're passing the ball out to like Joe Worrell or McKenna, like in our own box, like 6 yards away from goal, and there's no panic. Like there is no panic in it. Whereas at the time we panicked because none of the players have been used to playing like that before, and I think it just got really difficult for Jordan, and I think it really harmed him as a player and his development as a player. But I think now that is the way we play. The team's used to playing like that. The players are used to playing like that. The fans are used to playing like that. And I like Jordan Smith. He's been with the club a long time. I think I give him the chance. What do you think? Who would you go to?
I would want to on it. I think it'd be a difficult one between Uthorpe and Smith. I mean, Uthorpe already played a couple of games already this season, so I feel like that. Obviously second choice anyway at the minute, but I feel like that he could come in and settle in. Where Smith, I felt sorry for him in a certain way, because obviously he came in, made his debut in that defeat against Norwich, kept us up, then we just had that up and down time. So I'm a bit split on it. I mean, I'm sure Cooper and his backroom staff will make the right decision on whoever would come in and play. I'm a bit on the fence with it and who I would like to play against Bournemouth. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess like Bournemouth have a lot of tall players in the team, don't they? And then like Horvath is a bit taller than Jordan, and that might be a factor. Like they play nice football, don't they? And they that possession of the football, but they've got like Solanke's a tall striker, and they've got other tall strikers for those crosses coming in. So, and when we've played them before, they've battered us down the wings and putting crosses in, haven't they? And although they've had a change of manager and a couple of changes of divisions since last time we played them, I think I'd expect the same. So, maybe you go with the stronger, physically stronger keeper. Like stand up to that, and perhaps more experienced as well.
Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth on Friday. It'd be a different type of game from the last 3 games we have played. Against Leicester, Blackburn, and Stoke. And good thing is that we have had a week in, a bit more of a rest week more than it, because we played 3 games in 6 days. And obviously with how we play, it took its toll on us first half Saturday. So to have that week going into Bournemouth, it will help us quite a lot with playing that high intensity that we can play.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because the Blackburn performance and result was fantastic, but we were under the cosh quite a bit first half, I think, weren't we? And it was we stood quite a bit. We stood it really well, and we still created the better chances. And I guess against. It feels like it can sometimes go 2 ways with us at the moment against good footballing, attacking teams. Like they can provide us with the space and opportunities to get at them and get behind them, and we can go toe to toe with them and and come out on top. And then some games like against Middlesbrough and to an extent against Blackburn first half, we find it difficult to get a foothold in the game, and we're just sort of hanging in for a bit until we do get a foothold. I think Bournemouth had a funny set of results, haven't they, over the last month or so? They've hit a bit of form recently, but they've been through a real sticky patch where it looked like Bournemouth and Fulham were going to be streets ahead of everybody else, and now they're hauled back in and within reach of the chasing pack, and perhaps not as great as we all thought they were. I think a lot hangs on Solanke and how well he performs. And I think he can play a bit hot and cold as well.
Yeah, the same and Billing and obviously Brooks can't take a minute because obviously with the circumstances with him. But talking to Rob, obviously the video with Rob, who is a Bournemouth fan on the YouTube channel, guys. Billing was saying about depending on Billing, on his day he can be a best player in the division, but some games Billing can go missing. So depending what Billing turns up, depending on how they can play, and especially with Bournemouth, I mean, they have been hit and miss this season as well with how they do play, because some games they click like that, and some games that it's apparently style to watch.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's good news for us. Hopefully, we get the second of those Bournemouths that turn up, and hopefully get the player, the Billings that isn't the best player in the division in the game would be great. But I think it's great to see Alex Myton's back, and he got some minutes, and is a real. For me, he's been a real threat every time he's come on. He's had largely sub appearances this season, but has been a real threat. Obviously, Joe's made his miraculous recovery from rib injuries, including going in goal and making tackles with his head whilst lying on the floor against Leicester and things like that. And I've got great confidence in. I think Keenan Davis is looking a hell of a lot more of a player than a big guy that holds the ball up front, isn't he? And, I mean, the goal against Rotherham had some people calling him Collymore-esque, and I think that was perhaps a bit early. But like the goal is set up against Blackburn, where he beat 3 people inside our half, beat another 3 on the way to their penalty area, got fouled, got up, slipped it through to Garner, and absolutely fantastic. And I've been massively impressed with him. You could have made a case for him to be man of the match in probably every game he's played in, I'd say. And I think it's been fantastic. And what I've seen of Surridge has also been brilliant. And he's had, I think we call them goal involvements these days, don't we? He's had several goal involvements already, which is brilliant. So I think I'd go into that game with confidence, but they can be a really good team, and we've got to be properly at it and take our chances in that game.
Yeah, definitely. I did have a comment saying I was looking at Adebayor, but it was just Max was just using it as a bit of an anecdote. I believe.
Hughesy, Adebayor, you heard it here first.
But but I do actually agree with what you're saying to a fair. Obviously, we have been first time actually spoken to you actually for a while since the Arsenal game. Obviously, we made Cook, Davis, Surridge, Leah, Panzo. We made quite a few decent signings. Obviously, we all seen through it at a minute, but I think the other 2 were good. I do feel like, but the 3 that I've been playing regular for, I've been doing really well at the minute.
Yeah. I think there's a number of things that seem to be working well that are like organisation, aren't they? There's the recruitment with and the people that Dane's clearly leading on that recruitment, and that feels like we've talked about it before, haven't we? But it felt even before we brought those players in that it was more intelligent and thoughtful and coordinated, and I think we could, and it's still early doors, but from what we've seen of the new recruits so far, that will probably back that up, and we'd go along with that. And they're looking at what the gaps are in the team, where we need improvement, and addressing them, and doing the business early and without fuss and things like that. And I think I'd have loved to see Bowler or the guy from Millwall in the team, but we didn't break the bank to get them and offer them silly money or anything like that. And and we kept Brennan, which is just fantastic. The amount that he brings to the team is phenomenal. And if he goes, he'll go for so much more money than Brentford are offering right now. And but even like the guys that haven't played yet, that have come in recently, the Canadian and the others, they feel like the right fit, don't they, to the team? They feel like broadly like young, energetic players with something to prove, that are hungry. And like Steve Cook maybe doesn't fit that mold, but experience, not actually that old. I'm 49, 30 is pretty young, let me tell you. And but he's got that experience of getting promoted, hasn't he? And the defense looks a lot better with those three, and maybe with Ryan to drop in if somebody gets injured. I think that feels good. The coaching and development of players are getting better under Steve Cooper and the training staff, whereas that didn't seem to be the case before. In fact, players seem to be getting worse. You know what I mean? And the team spirit seems to be better. There was a moment in the Blackburn game where I think Garner bust a gut to stop the ball going out for corner, so it was a throw in instead. But you just see them fighting for each other and backing each other up, and it feels like, in terms of like the medical side, where like we don't seem to be getting hit by so many injuries. We don't seem to be having so many like players that the Matty gosh, I can't remember his name. It was the striker that we had. Matty, it'll come to me at some point, but who looked a great striker, and he got injured and then never played for us again. And those sort of injuries. Do you know what I mean? Or Andy Reid with a groin strain that lasted for like 2 years and never played for us again, and just those sort of players going down untouched in the middle of the pitch with some sort of like, we don't seem to be getting that any at the moment, and players seem to be coming back on time or quicker than expected. Like Alex with a pretty bad injury, Joe was supposed to be 6 weeks out. Everything seems to be working like you'd hope it would at the club at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was Matt Hopkins or
it wasn't him. I can't remember, was it? I think he used to play for Hull, and he used to play for maybe Leicester. He was quite wide player. Pierce bought him.
Matt Derbyshire.
No, not Matt Derbyshire. And you know what? He might even not be called Matt or Matty. I might be making that up. But you know what I mean? Like, that seems to be working. The ticket office is working properly. You can book your tickets better and reserve your place better for the FA Cup games. You can get in the ground better, even though like there's loads more people trying to get in for different times. See, I'm a vegan. There's a vegan burger in the bar behind the Trent End. It's unheard of. I can get a burger, and I mean, I still can't get chips, but I can get a burger, and that's it's great. Lots of things seem to be working, and I think I probably talked, and I've gone a bit of a rant down, but like talked when we perhaps first spoke about like the change in mood and the change in style of play, and that my boy stopped really being interested in going to Forest games, partly because of like the style of football. Well, he's been to the FA Cup games and absolutely loved it. He turned around and said to me, "You know what? this is so much more exciting than those championship games you used to bribe me to come to. And actually, championship games are like that as well now. The atmosphere, the style of football, the dancing to Depeche Mode on full time. All of that is brilliant. And he now wants to go to away games with me, and come to those away games and hang around in the car park after games to get photos with the players, which we did after a couple of the FA Cup games. And we've had a go at Lyle Taylor on here, haven't we, a few times? And
Yeah,
he obviously started scoring for Birmingham, including against Derby, which was great. But to be fair to him and a number of Forest players, as much all the time in the world to pose after the game with boys and girls for photos and autographs and things like that, and put a big smile on, and you know what, you got the impression that they would have done it whether they'd won, lost, or drawn. And I think that's just really good. And again, and we've seen in like someone's social media, Joe Worrell and Scott and McKenna go into to watch some of the kids in the academies and summer schools training, and the reaction it gets from the kids. It's just wonderful, isn't it? And that
yeah,
they're the next generation of fans, and they're the people that we need to keep interested and excited. I see is it Mr. Wolf asking on opinions of Isaiah Jones versus Spence. What do you reckon?
Spence all day long.
Yeah, same. Same here.
Yeah.
I think Spence is like, he's more dynamic, isn't he? He's like, he's a, I don't know, it's like a Stan Collymore at right back or right wing back, but he looks like, looks like he can beat anybody. He can beat anybody from a standing start. He can beat anybody from a running start. He can beat anybody from facing the wrong way. And, it's just exciting. Like, exciting every time he gets the ball. Yeah, I agree, Vice Ranger. And I think if we go up, we keep Spence 100%. And maybe if we don't go up, that's some of the big money that we perhaps spend to build that promotion side.
All day long.
But yeah, I'd go for Spence. It's just exciting. The goal against Leicester just epitomised what he's been about all season, hasn't it? But it's so exciting to watch. It's brilliant. And he was only 20, and I saw inquiries about whether he would play for Jamaica. I saw it were after him, and I think from what we've seen, again, he could have been man of the match every single game he's played, and I don't think anybody would have argued with it. And I know he's only 20. I think he'll be playing at the top one way or the other soon, and will be on the England radar, very soon.
Yeah, hopefully being forced for it when he does do it.
Absolutely, and I think, I just think realistically, after 10 games, a dozen games under Steve Cooper, we'd still be saying, from the start we've had this season, being safe, being comfortable, maybe having a bit of a tickle on the playoffs would be a good season, having some, beating Derby and having some good wins. But we're there now, aren't we? And we haven't broke the bank to go for it, but they've backed the manager. The manager's been back to go for it, and it feels like the players are aware that this is an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, when we had the opportunity under Paul Hart, we had a great team and we had great loan players, and the team was dismantled. It wasn't invested in and was allowed to be dismantled, and that was the opportunity. And I think this time is the opportunity this season. But I also don't think that. I think if we don't make it this season, we might not be able to bust the bank to keep Jed Spence, but we'll be investing in the team and keeping it together as much as possible. And we won't be replacing, like we replaced David Johnson and Marlon Harewood with
Marlon King and Gareth Taylor.
Marlon King and Gareth Taylor, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then we wondered why we struggled. My sense is that we would do a lot better than that this time. We do a lot better than that this time, and it's exciting times. I mean, we need to be looking at Wembley hotels. I think, what I mean? Book them, Dano. Book them now.
definitely. Obviously, we spoke about Bournemouth, spoke about that this and that, and what do you think formation wise and the team forward fan? I mean, obviously we don't play um, the 3-4-1-2 formation that we seem to be
Yeah.
playing. Obviously with the back three, the usual back three. I mean, especially with Preston coming up on Tuesday, would you want to see in that midfield? Would you bring Yates back? I mean, or would you change the back? It's nice to have these options as well.
It is, yeah. I think I think it's a settled team. I think the options are probably you're probably around the midfield. Yeah, I think the back five stays the same with the wing backs and the three centre halves in the same formation. And I think I think James Garner absolutely starts, and it's probably Ryan Yates or Jack Colback whether to go in there. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been really impressed with both this season. I've always been a fan of Ryan Yates and less so of Jack Colback, but he's been brilliant also since Steve Cooper came in. So yeah, I think it's a really set team. And I think that might be obviously he's left Zinchenko out, and rotated Zinchenko and some others a bit. I think I think if the more attacking of the central midfield, I think you could say that Ryan Yates is the more attacking between Ryan Yates and Jack Colback. And I think if he goes Colback, then he's a bit less gung ho up front. And if he goes Ryan Yates, he's a bit less gung ho up front. If he goes Colback, then he's more gung ho up front because it's just the back door's locked a bit more in midfield, if you see what I mean. But I wouldn't expect, I'd expect Keenan Davis to start. I'd expect, I'd say that, yeah, I would. I'd expect pretty much the same side, to be honest. But he might be looking at, injuries and tiredness and fatigue and that sort of thing, which, obviously is a factor. But like you said, they've had a longer rest than they had before the Leicester game.
Yeah, definitely. Martin, good evening.
Hello. We are.
Definitely. What would the scoreline be for you on Friday?
I think it might be quite high scoring. Because I think my sense is that both teams would go toe to toe, and I think Steve Cooper will go toe to toe and back our front players to score more goals. And I know it sounds obvious, and our defenders to stop goals going in. Whereas I think other managers we've had, not just the last one, would set up quite defensive and look to frustrate and play a bit of a tactical battle. And you know what? One of the best games I've ever seen at the City Ground was when we played Bournemouth. I think the year they got promoted, and Dougie Friedman was manager. With a squad put together with a transfer embargo. And I remember we sit up at Bridgeford in the corner and going like, why? We didn't press. We let them have the ball all like into our half and only press them and push them out to the corners, push them out to channels, and they crossed in, and we just dealt with everything in the middle because we had better centre halves. And it was a masterclass, absolute masterclass. And we won, I think, 1-0. I don't think Steve Cooper would do that. I think he'd back our players to go toe to toe with them and score more goals and keep the goals out. So I think it might be quite high scoring. So I'm going to go 3-2 Forest.
Funny enough, I said 3-2.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. How are we lads? Very
We're
well.
good.
I know you are now. you do have. I remember when you first won the blue coat, and now like you can't get missed by the cameras.
Yeah.
I know you are now. But yeah,
We're good. I think. Yeah, we're looking forward to the game. Looking forward to. I'm a bit gutted that because I don't manage to get to many away games, but I live in Sheffield and come down for the Forest games, and I wasn't on the ball. And the Sheffield United away game, which is literally It's 20 minutes walk down the road from me. It's sold out already. So if anybody out there has has tickets and can't go to the Sheffield United away game, hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm gutted that Bournemouth was supplying that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long old trip, isn't it, as well? And the last time I went to Bournemouth, I went and saw us lose
For
2
one
0 I
last
think in
time.
League One.
Yeah.
Votes. I think Votes scored 2 goals for them, and Chris Cohen came and was like apologising for the performance to the Forest fans. And both teams have come a long way since then, and we've perhaps had a few more ups and downs and false starts than Bournemouth had. But it's interesting how it goes, isn't it? But I think two good footballing sides, and really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to the game, and then having a Saturday, seeing hopefully everybody else mess up, like points on the board. It's all about points on the board, I think, at this stage. And I'd rather have points on the board than games in hand.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I was only saying, this morning as well, more than out, that some of the results last night went our way as well. So,
Definitely.
uh, so I do feel like that. It is quite nice. See some of them actually go through.
Yes, there was some very good results. QPR losing was quite a big one, wasn't it? And there's a number of others. So and, it's nice nice to get a nice win Friday night and Saturday. Enjoy watching the football or Sky Sports, soccer afternoon, and seeing the results come in, and hopefully get us in there. And I think then this is a run, probably the last game of a run of really difficult games.
Yeah.
Blackburn, Stoke, Bournemouth, and then they're not easy games after that, but these are the real tough ones, aren't they? And I think probably we'd have all taken 4 points after the first two, and we'd probably all take 5 from 3 of them, considering 2 are away from home.
Yeah, definitely. Mark's in 2-1 Forest, coming to the trees. What are your opinions on Ethan now? Over. I'll let you answer that.
I think jury's out for me. I think he's not had a lot of game time. He obviously made a bad mistake against Middlesbrough. I think it was Middlesbrough, wasn't it? That we conceded the goal, and he played in one of the cup games where we conceded from a free kick. I can't remember who it was against, but perhaps questionable positioning on that one as well. So I think his jury's out. Like, I've seen more of Jordan Smith, and I like Jordan Smith. And probably on that basis, I would probably go with Jordan Smith, but I'm not paid the big bucks to be Forest manager. We just talk about it on here and give our opinions, and then see what happens. So I think jury's out on him. It's difficult to say. I've not seen enough of him, and a couple of mistakes. One definite mistake. All keepers make them, don't they? And I was reading something, but I can't remember who it was. Talking to, maybe it was a goalkeeper, about the advice that they've been having about playing out from the back and passing it and things like that. And they said that there will be 3 or 4 times in the season where you mess it up one way or the other, and you'll look stupid. You'll look absolutely stupid. But all the other time, you're making sure that the team keeps possession of the ball better, looks after the ball better, progresses the football through the thirds better, and that nobody will go, we scored that goal because of the goalkeeper was keeping possession and controlling it and so on. But managers are seeing that, and coaches are seeing that, and that is what leads up to playing through the thirds and keeping possession and getting those goals. So it can be a bit hairy, it can be a bit worrying, but I think we just have to accept that every goalkeeper will make those mistakes, even the best ones.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you just choose so far, I mean, not saying he will do. I mean, you might even choose Smith, or we know.
Yeah.
I think if you do choose so far, we will have 3 games now just to prove himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the 3 games he played in was the 2 Cup games and Middlesbrough game. So I
Yeah.
think that he will have 3 games in advance, and the back just to like, unless something happens, not saying they will, touch wood,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to like prove himself to be, yeah, I can be number one, or I'm a really good backup for Samba. I mean, like Mark said, biggest test so far for
Yeah. Definitely.
Friday, and
I
I
think
do
so.
think it will come good. I think he just need that one of games just to
Yeah. Yeah.
get
And the Middles,
match fit.
yeah, the Middlesbrough game where he made the mistake is it's probably harsh to judge any player on because the atmosphere in the ground and possibly in the dressing room was so difficult, wasn't it, to play? And everybody was playing bad, and you know it was just bad all round performance. So it's quite harsh to then single a keeper out on the basis of that. But yeah, I hope he will be. I hope he will be awesome. Mark. I'm sure he will. Um, Yeah, but you know what? When my boy plays five-a-side football, so plays nine-a-side football now, I think, and
Yeah,
their keeper's been injured with a broken hand, so they've had outfield players in goal, and all the defenders played a lot better with a goalkeeper in who they knew wasn't the best goalkeeper. They
yeah.
worked a damn sight harder to protect him and keep the ball away as far away from him as possible.
Mm.
I don't think we'll need to do that, but perhaps we would if Joe Worrell goes in goal again.
Yeah, definitely. This is a good question. By
Mm.
if he proves himself, do you think Steve Cooper will play him against Huddersfield or go back to Pete? I think if Cooper go on the 3 games to play, I think if he does play well 3 games, it's so far shirt to lose. Personally, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
if he plays that, it's him 3 games and he puts Tambo back in, I will feel so for so far for himself personally.
yeah.
Um, I feel like that if he plays well, then why can't he keep the shirt? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
we look at Sink or like grab against Arsenal. I mean, it's a bit of form and he came off the bench against Arsenal and still scored. So
yeah,
it's one of them
yeah,
ones that I think if he plays well, then why can't he keep the shirt?
yeah,
I really do.
yeah. I think I agree. I think if he plays well, we win the games. Then I think my impression is that a lot of whenever we speak to or hear footballers speak about different managers and stuff, and usually they're quite circumspect. Although some of the interviews that Chippers are doing with some of the players that played under Megson, for example, are hilarious because some of them, like David Johnson, doesn't hold back on their opinions of him, and Lee Camp doesn't hold back on some of his opinions of people as well, which is worth a listen. But generally, they say as long as they know where they stand with a manager, and they know where they stand, then that's all they want. And I think my impression from Steve Cooper is that he's the sort of player that manager that would let people know where they stand. Where he would say, if you have the shirt and you have it for 3 games and you play well, you will keep the shirt because that's the most simple and honest way of speaking about the players, isn't it? And I think that encourages everybody that does and doesn't have the shirt to perform to the best of their ability. And we've got that competition for places now in most, if not all, positions. And I think that all of the players need to see that message that if you come on and play well, if you start and play well, if you replace somebody and play well, then you will get the shirt because the manager backs that rather than having his favourites or doing something random, which we've seen in the past. I think there's the potential that like how we want to play a game. I don't know, in terms of distribution might be a factor as well. For example, do we think Silver is similar to Akabi? Miss Lodson says. Good question. I think he he's looked dangerous every time he's come on for
Yeah,
me. He's looked really dangerous and could have scored 3 goals. Three
yeah.
goals,
I do
quite
think if Silver
well.
scores one, I think he'll get a few first. It's just that first goal he needs to get.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's a lot better than Diakabi, where Diakabi would like trap a cross out for a goal kick from the halfway line,
Yeah,
and looked sort of like a couple of moves that Silva's done to get in behind players or knock the ball one way and go around the other has looked pretty classy, and he's got pace to burn. And sometimes you get that with those sorts of players, that they're all pace and bustle and power, that just that bit of composure in front of goal is a bit lacking because everything's done at pace. I like him. I'm glad we've kept him. I think he could be he's strong as well. He's stronger than Diakabi. I think he could be he's a real good wild card to throw into a game at some point, and again, that's something I think we've lacked, where we've gone like, going back definitely last season and earlier this season, we've like looked at the bench and gone, who can we bring on to just try something different, and I think Silva's a bit like having Franz Carr on the bench or Nathan Tyson on the bench or something like that. You can throw him on and cause trouble and take the rough with the smooth, but I think he scares defenders, and that's never a bad thing, and worries defenders and makes them think twice.
Definitely, I do actually agree with that. So thank you for Max for coming on.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me. And just want to give a big shout out to the cheese and beetroot cobs, which are our half-time snack of choice.
Oh, nice. What's your Twitter name on Twitter? And I'll tag you on the tweet for this video.
Awesome. It's at Maximo Newton.
There, guys. Don't forget, guys, we have got the membership perks on the YouTube channel as well, so do take a look at that as well. So I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.